In this video, I'm going to be doing a quick trade recap of a trade I took a couple of hours ago during the London Open on Euro USD. As you can see, we've got the trade here. Unfortunately, I didn't record it. But not to worry, we're going to do a quick trade recap, go over why I took the trade, the entries and the analysis for taking the position. With that said, let's get into it, and what I'm going to do actually before we start is play it back to as if it's the start of the session so we can work through and you can see sort of in real time what I was thinking and why I was taking the position. Starting with some top-down analysis on the 4-hour time frame. Here is all the work I did pre-market. But starting off, what we can see is on the 4-hour time frame, we've entered a range of consolidation. There's been no real movements up or down. What was interesting was we created this 4-hour high here, pushed down, took out the lows, and then pushed up, and as you can see at this circle here, took out the highs on the 4-hour time frame. And following this, we can see we pulled back into an area of accumulation. Looking in the past at rejections off of this level, we've got this area of accumulation here, followed by a complete breakthrough, then a rejection, followed by another area of accumulation, a push up, rejection, another push up, another rejection, and then this move here where we did reject off of that same area. Now following this on the 4-hour time frame still, we got a breaker structure to the upside followed by a slight retracement, and then from there we've been creating higher lows and higher highs. As you can see, we've got this low marked out followed by a high followed by a higher low, which leads me to think we're going to be creating a higher high at some point. Now more recently on the 4-hour, looking at more recent structure, we had this breaker structure here. If I actually pull this down to the 1-hour time frame, you can see I've marked it out for you. We had two similar highs here, and this candle broke structure for both of them, which was nice. We then also had a strong wick to the upside and a retracement. Coming into the session, we knew yesterday we had a very strong bullish day. Looking at the Asian market, we started to sell off slightly, consolidate a little bit. There wasn't too much movement. Now jumping to the 30-minute time frame. After this 4-hour and 1-hour breaker structure to the upside, we pushed down during Asia, created a fair value gap which we rejected off of already, came down, consolidated, and then pushed down further into this zone of accumulation. The market opened at 7 AM here, and the end of the kill zone. If you're familiar with ICT's concepts, you'll know that 7 AM until 10 AM UK time is when we trade London. And the next thing I did was mark out liquidity. So as you can see, it wouldn't be this low here because we'd already taken it out. We had liquidity to the upside here, but my bias was bullish based on the previous analysis we've just been through. And so I put my liquidity level right down here. So looking at market open, we can see we immediately pushed down and sold off and took out this liquidity we saw in the market. Moving on from here, we can see we rejected off of this fair value gap, but more importantly, we created a breaker structure level. So as soon as we get a breaker structure above that point, I was ready to enter long. So playing it through further, we got the breaker structure right here. So had I entered the market at the breaker structure level, we would have had an alright risk to reward, but it wouldn't have been great. Take profit 1 I had listed at this high here, and take profit 2 was at this secondary high in the market here. Had I entered now, we'd be looking at a 1.63 for take profit 1 and a 2.84 risk to reward for take profit 2. So I held off and didn't enter immediately. I waited for an additional confluence, which was either a retracement to equilibrium, a order block, or a fair value gap entry. So continuing through, as you can see, we created a high up here. Now, I had the option, as I said, to go for equilibrium, an order block, or a fair value gap. Starting off with equilibrium, we'd already taken it out quite a few times and had some consolidation here. It was a possibility, but I wasn't too keen on it, based on the fact that we did have a fair value gap further down and we also had an order block. So if I mark out the order block, we've got this right here. And if we look for the fair value gap, it's also a pretty similar level. We've got this to this. As you can see, both the fair value gap and the order block align quite nicely. And so I decided to go for this instead of equilibrium so we can get rid of that. At this point, I entered a limit order at the top of the fair value gap and placed stops in line with the current lows down here. My take profit, as I said, take profit 1 is at these highs here, and take profit 2 is at these higher highs here. Now there's also two fair value gaps above this, and so I didn't want to be too greedy and place them within there or potentially higher, just in case we got a rejection off of the fair value gap and didn't fulfill take profit 2. So we're now waiting for the limit order to be filled, and if we play through the market, you can see we got tapped in right here. Immediately rejected off of the order block and the fair value gap, and as you can see, we went through a very long stage of chop or consolidation. Literally zero price movement across this section, which is not nice. It's really awful to be in. We held through for a little longer and eventually pushed up, and on the next candle we took out our take profit 1. So we closed half our position at take profit 1 with a 2.28 risk to reward. Now take profit 2, as I said, was up here at these highs we see. On the next candle you're about to see us hit take profit 2, and there we go. So we got both our take profits hit, completely out of the position at this point, and the market did actually continue upwards if I'm not mistaken. If we exit bar replay mode, we can see, yep, so we even took out this higher liquidity level, which I was thinking about targeting but didn't in the end. And following the London session, as you can see, we've got the 10 AM kill zone end, followed by a retracement. In total, off this trade we made $1,260,